Hey everybody, and welcome to a brand new installment of Nintendo News Report for Friday, August 19th, 2016. I'm your host, Alexander Coffey, today joined by one Donald Terrio.
You know things are going weird here when I'm watching race walking during work.
Yeah, I saw you talking about that on Twitter. Was that just some, like, weird Canadian sports contest?
It was in the Olympics, and we had a bronze medal in there for about an hour before a counter appeal was lodged against an appeal.
That is disgusting.
Yeah.
Okay, and Zachary Miller, how you doing today?
I'm good. Everybody who's listening to this should play this game, which is mirrored on this stream. But
It's
Headlander
not.
is
It's not.
oh good, just for me. It's really fun. I platinumed it. You all should play it.
I got a code of that game from
Me too.
someone who may have been on the show before. I haven't played it yet. It is really good?
It's really, really good.
Okay, I'll play it, Zachary.
Nice.
I'll play it.
I need a system that can play it.
Yeah, look at you, Donald. You need to get with the game. I think you need a PS4 or a PC, ultimately.
Mm-hmm.
And yet, next month I plan to buy an Xbox 360.
Oh wait, what? Wait, what?
A lot cheaper
Wait,
than
what?
Xbox 360, $70.
Well, that's
One.
okay. That's true.
That's
No.
acceptable. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. People want to hear us talk about the NPDs because Nintendo's sales blew up in like a really positive way, in a positive way this time, but also in a not positive way this time, depending on what we're talking about.
Mm.
So Nintendo's NPDs, they were good enough this month that they actually sent out an email about how everything sold in July.
How
Full
awesome
report.
you are.
Exactly. Full report won't be out until Monday.
Which
But,
we got like 20 minutes notice on, by the way.
Yeah. 3DS Family was the best-selling system in the country in July, and the 2DS, following its price drop, has now crossed the 2 million unit mark. There are suggestions, and obviously this is because of Pokémon Go, because Pokemon Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire were 8 and 10 in the single game charts, while X and Y were in the top 25 as well. Monster Hunter Generations was the top-selling single game of the month, which I take to mean that something with 6 SKUs is going to end up usurping it.
Call of Duty, Minecraft, GTA 5, those kind of games.
Right. If they did everything from single version basis, like 5 of the top 10 would be Minecraft and GTA 5, like games that came out in like 2012, 2013, and Robobo was just outside the top 10 in sales rankings, which is actually pretty impressive because Kirby, I've always been under the impression that it does okay, but it's not necessarily a top-tier Nintendo franchise.
Right.
I think at this point it's proven sales-wise to be at least in the top 10.
Right. Well, yeah. Well, actually, you know what? Let's try to figure out that top 10 right now. Smash Bros. Mario, Zelda, Pokemon,
Mario Kart, Splatoon.
Mario Kart. You think Splatoon's already top 10?
It's a shooter that did 1.4 million in Japan, and it's
Well,
already
give-
sold like 4 million copies on the Wii U, which Nintendo also announced this week.
Splatoon, Wonderful 101. Just kidding. Let's see what else we got. If we were to put Kirby in there, and then Fire Emblem might actually rank now.
Yeah, the last couple of games, Fire Emblem has jumped way up the rankings, and I think at that point you're splitting hairs with things like Donkey Kong and
Donkey Kong counts. Donkey Kong sold well. That was one of Retro's like better selling games of that time. And then Metroid might actually be number 10 in a super sad way.
I'm working like
Animal Crossing, you dumb goof, Alex.
Yeah, and I don't think Metroid is in the top 10 anymore.
Nope, it might not even be. And if you count things like Nintendo Land, like no, Animal Crossing, like one of my favorite games ever. Like yeah, of course, that's like top 3 probably.
I think I had it. I'm working on something that takes sales into account, and Animal Crossing is not in the top 5, but it's in the top 10.
Okay, because I have a feeling that especially with the rise of New Leaf, Animal Crossing went from like B plus A double A Nintendo to one of their full on like quote unquote triple A sellers.
But then you look at the board game and it's like, not so
Mm.
much.
Yeah, it's very interesting to see something where the games are doing so strong, but the brand is like tremendously weak.
Hmm.
Like I don't think people care about the Animal Crossing brand as much as I hope they would. Like I thought Tom Nook was an iconic character. I thought KK Slider was kind of an iconic character, and I think to some people he is. But like I don't think it at all stacks up to even Cranky Kong levels of Nintendo character.
All
Aw,
you have to do is look at the shelves upon shelves of Animal Crossing amiibo that they still can't get rid of.
Mm.
yeah.
But yeah, dragging it back to the sales for July. I mean, with Pokemon, like 4 versions of Pokemon in the top 25, Pokemon Go clearly has to be doing something.
Yeah. Cherry Goblin says Alex will play Headlander once he finishes Xenoblade Chronicles X
Huh.
and his entire backlog. So let me tell you this: Shin Megami Tensei or Tensei Megami Shin, that's open. I'm playing that right now. I just wrapped up No Man's Sky. I'm working on it. I'm working on it, and I'm gonna play Headlander. I promise you, Cherry
Now,
Goblin.
when you say wrapping up No Man's Sky, do you mean I've gotten enough out of this game that I can stop playing it? Because that seems to
Yes.
be the general gist of what people are saying about that
Zach,
game.
there are things like so I don't know what happened. Well, I know what happens, but I didn't do what happens. I basically played 20 to 25 hours, looked up what happens once you reach the center, and was like, all right, now I know everything I need to know. I got my 25 hours. I don't regret my $60. I can put this away.
Gotcha.
I will give one word of advice while we're on our weird little tangents. Before we're talking about how abysmal Wii U is doing, let's talk about just the only advice I have to anyone who could be playing No Man's Sky. Uh, don't worry about reaching the center of the universe galaxy thing.
Hmm.
Don't worry about it. It's like if you don't devote 1,000 hours to doing it, I'm not gonna say it's not even worth it. I'm just gonna say trust me. Just enjoy your time in it and do what you want to do, and then stop playing and move on
Gotcha.
to your next game. That's my advice to everyone.
Cool.
Okay, cool. NPDs, yeah, all that stuff is good. It is insane to me that Monster Hunter is now as big of a franchise as it is
Well,
Mhm.
let's consider for a
in the
moment
states.
what.
In the
Yeah,
states.
but what else came out in July, really? I mean, we are in a situation where Monster Hunter is the least niche thing that actually came
Mm,
out this month.
in 2016.
So, like you're talking stuff like Romance of the Three Kingdoms, some Neptunia game, and Seventh Dragon being the only other really big things that came out in July, and Monster Hunter is probably the biggest one of that bunch.
Let's
Yeah.
see. Neptunia. Romance of the Three Kingdoms is a lot of those probably missed America, right?
Yeah,
Oh yeah, because well, Pokemon Go was the game of July.
yeah.
Inside was digital.
Inside coming soon to PlayStation systems.
Which is bizarre. Song of the Deep, Tumblestone,
Tumblestone's
Batman,
not physical yet, so that wouldn't have counted in the MPDs
Monster Hunter
either.
Generations. It's like a lot of super strong indie games, but almost nothing on disc.
Mm-hmm.
Like actually, basically nothing. Tokiden 2, if you want.
Yeah.
Like that's basically it. EDF 4.1 on Windows.
I'm very curious because Capcom is one of the companies that will actually report digital sales in the MPD, but we only know of them doing that for Sony and Microsoft. I wonder if they're going to give a number for the eShop sales on Monster Hunter Generations because I know I bought it digitally.
Do we know if Monster Hunter Generations has surpassed the like those initial sales of Monster Hunter 4 that were super talked about? I think it was like the fastest selling Monster Hunter ever.
It's because with digital now that includes system bundles which had the game as a code. I believe 4 Ultimate did about just under 300,000 in its first month, which was new 3DS launch month.
Mm.
So I think the estimates for Generations were 165,000 digital, which is that's pretty good total for the Wii or for a 3DS game. But yeah, we'd have to wait and see. I could always I might boop in and see how Monster Hunter Generation is doing on like the all-time sales charts in the eShop, because that
Sure.
gives us an indication as to how it's doing digitally.
Okay. Yeah, there's that, and then the only other thing I wanted to mention in the NPDs, well, Pokemon Go's gigantic, but we've talked about Pokemon Go plenty. Although apparently people aren't really talking about Pokemon Go anymore.
I stopped
No,
playing it. I stopped giving a shit.
Is there still a big community for that, or did that game just kind of fall off?
it's still doing good transactional numbers. Like there's the people that are paying it are putting a lot of money into it, so that's good for Niantic and the Pokemon Company, and to a lesser extent Nintendo. But I think it's sort of faded a little bit from the cultural zeitgeist that it was in a couple months, like last month.
Right. Yeah, it'll be very cool to see what kind of longevity that game ends up getting. Uh,
Hmm.
I'm so curious what Pokemon Go looks like a year from now. And then the same thing people are saying about No Man's Sky. Like, I wonder what No Man's Sky is going to look like a year from now after all these updates. I wonder what Pokemon Go is going to look like in a year from now. How many
Yeah.
Pokemon are going to be out? Because are they going to launch Sun and Moon and not have Sun and Moon Pokemon in there? Like,
Probably,
well,
I because a lot of the appeal on that is designed to go after the kind of lapsed fan.
the Gen 1ers, as the Pokemon community would like to call them.
Yeah.
Which I'm saying as if that doesn't include me.
Yeah, and looking at the all-time charts here, just on the eShop, looking at bestsellers, Generations is sandwiched in between Bravely Second and Phoenix Wright Dual Destinies, if that gives you any indication as to how it's doing digitally.
Hmm.
That seems fine.
Yeah, it's below a lot of like free-to-play stuff, your big sellers like the Pokemon games and the Pokemon VC games, and like, but its demo is like fifth on the chart right now behind all like the Blast Ball demo,
Right.
Pokemon Bank, Picross, and YouTube.
Right. Matt Kelly asks, Dragonite. Oh, we're talking about Pokemon stuff too. Actually, no. We'll ask that in a second. It's Matt Kelly who got a question about Pokemon Sun and Moon, and we got Pokemon Sun and Moon stuff after this. I just wanted to add that the Wii U's news was not as rosy as it fell below 25,000 units in July due to a non-existent release schedule. You know what the biggest story is here? 25,000 people bought Wii U's this month. They found 25,000 people who wanted a Wii U.
Now, is Nintendo reporting like sales of refurbs from their website? I don't think they are, but they probably. I mean, that might be where most of those came from.
Yeah, that's insane to me. It's insane to me that it's that high. Because Fire Emblem Fire Emblem sold about 30,000 copies in its first full month, which is
Which,
pathetic.
Mm.
but that is still more than what it did, I think, in Japan life to date.
Brutal.
It is sad that game is not going to get a sequel ever because it's actually, I would say, maybe the best game of the year I've played so far.
Wow. Strong
Like
words.
I haven't beaten it yet. It's some games, most games this year impressed me initially, but then end up falling off by the end. But
Yeah.
I've been super impressed by Fire Emblem so far. Rhythm Heaven Megamix is another very strong game. I wonder how that did.
I did not see it going to Monster Hunter, so Monster Hunter's doing better than Megamix, which, considering the release schedule for that it's out right now,
Yeah.
that's not surprising.
Yeah. Kane says, yeah, I went talking about Pokemon Go, presumably. Yeah, I went to the park a few days ago, and there were tons of people there at mine. Seems pretty popular still. Yeah, if it was bringing in 200 million a day when it first came out, that doesn't just turn into zero people.
Yeah.
There are still people playing that game, and I bet there are still new people playing that game because it's probably gonna in a year of one of the most notable U.S. elections in the last very long time, I'm sure. I would still call Pokemon Go top 5 cultural events of the year so far.
Oh yeah.
Chariot Goblin, has Alex tried the Star Fox Zero eShop demo? I have not. I'm so not inspired to play
I
that
forgot
game.
there's a demo.
I'm so unsure. Yeah, go ahead, Donald.
It's an anime episode that comes with a demo.
Right, that's right.
Yeah. Do we know how Star Fox did yet? Because I keep hearing conflicting things as to how it did. Because it got number 10 that month, but then I go to GameStop and Star Fox Guard costs $5 used.
Well, it's like
brutal.
Because it was like 10 or 15.
Yeah.
Regular price, but the number we got for Star Fox in April was about 100,000. It was not mentioned as a million seller in Nintendo's last financials, so that doesn't say a whole lot. But that thing cratered, I think, after the first month.
Okay.
I'm sure it lost money.
Yeah. I'm sure Nintendo's putting out a lot of games that they know will lose money because they're trying to make good on the Wii U in a PR sense before launching the NX. I think one thing Nintendo has to do is the Wii U's not going to have a long lifespan, but it was priced at $350 at launch. Like it's going to have a 3-4 year lifespan at most by the time it dies, which is one of the shortest consoles in recent memory.
You could stretch it to 4.5 if you think that Zelda comes out in March.
But Donald, that's still really short for consoles coming out.
That is longer than the original Xbox had, which I think they'll at least claim that much. Because remember, the original Xbox was out in 2001, came out around the time the GameCube did, and Microsoft lost so much money on that, they jumped to the 360 in 2005.
Okay. Neil says, hey, tell Zach to hurry up so we can play Federation Force. Well, Neil, this will be one of our shortest episodes in a while because we're already halfway done. We're not halfway done, but we're about halfway done. Okay, let's talk about the Pokemon World Championship. The Pokemon World Championship started in San Francisco today, and as per every year at the opening ceremonies, there are always Pokemon reveals. It was actually kind of a funny reveal today because I was actually watching that stream, and it was like Ishihara, there are two faces of Pokemon, at least Pokemon as it exists right now. There's Ishihara, who's the Pokemon Company guy, and who kind of looks like not Tajiri. Well, he looks familiar to someone else who I can't think of right now. And then there's also Masuda, who's the director, or was the director of newer Pokemon games. Either way, Masuda and Ishihara, those are the two names you need to know when talking about modern Pokemon right now. Ishihara comes out and he's like, we were talking about Pokken last year, we were doing video game stuff the year before, this year we're going to talk about the trading card game. And everyone was silent. Yeah. No one was clapping at all.
And then they showed basically Mega Evolution cards?
They're called GX cards, and I don't play the trading card game, but I'm under the impression that the way it works, well, I know for a fact the way it works is they're strong EX type cards that they showed off Solgaleo and Lunala, except they have these super moves, and you can use one super move per battle. It's basically the Mega Evolution of cards, except it's like a Mega Evolution move instead of a Mega Evolution Pokemon.
So like the Z moves they have in Sun and Moon.
Right, except you can only use one, and I think you can play the card anyway. It's just the moves that you can only use one per battle. Anyways, he showed that off to no fanfare whatsoever.
Yeah.
And then they sort of pulled him off with a cane. They didn't, not literally, but that was basically what they did. And then Masuda came out, and then everyone started clapping. And then he started talking about the game, and he was also excited. And then he showed off a new Pokemon. Apparently 4 new Pokemon were shown off, but I only saw one in the stream.
The other 3 that were shown in the stream were ones that were shown in Korokoro but hadn't been localized yet.
Okay.
But the Sandcastle one would be freaky.
The main Pokemon they showed off was Crabrawler, who is a fighting type crab. He's a boxing crab. He has straight up fucking boxing gloves. He looks like Ashita Nojo, the protagonist of that old boxing manga. Like this is a super inspired Pokemon, based on Masuda's love of crab, and then also apparently it looks like he's based on an Ippo or Ashita Nojo type character. But either way, he's a badass because like the entire trailer was just him one hit shotting all these OU Pokemon like Landorus Therian form, like all these other guys, and he was kicking ass. He's pretty cool. And then they also showed off Sandygast and Palo Sand, Ground, and Ghost type. They're sandcastles. They look kind of weird, but in like the bad Unova kind of weird way. They have the ability Water Compaction that sharply raises their defense when hit by a water type attack. And also Beware has this abomination of a pre-evolution
Yes.
called Stuffle.
Stuffy, yeah, Stuffle. It is a stuffed animal, right down to having a little tag on the back.
Yeah. I don't know what he's trying to look like because it's like he has a butterfly for ears. He has this weird crescent around his face. He doesn't look like a cub. He doesn't look like a dog. He just looks disgusting.
He looks like something you put together at Build-A-Bear. That's the whole point.
He looks like a reject from Build-A-Bear.
And then he evolves and he gets really badass.
Yeah. Matthew Kelly has a couple questions I can finally get to. Hey, Nintendo World Report, Dragonite and Zubat are leaked for unseen mentioned Alolan forms on the Japanese site. What do you guys think they might change? If they change Zubat, they better change Crobat. I hope they make Crobat a fire type. Fire and flying. Like, that would be cool. Like a fire bat. And,
we don't already have a bunch of fire flying types.
Yeah.
I really just want them to make Dragonite look intimidating, not like a giant stuffed animal.
One idea I heard for Charizard, which I think could apply to Dragonite, is someone floated the idea of Charizard being water flying, and I actually think that's a super cool idea for Dragonite, like a water dragon type.
Yeah, like a Chinese dragon.
Yeah. Yeah, almost like the way Gyarados looks is what Dragonite's typing would actually be.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah. And then Matthew Kelly also asked, did you hear Niantic banning cheaters in Pokemon Go? Would riding in a car as a passenger for mileage doesn't count as cheating, correct? It doesn't count as cheating in my book, but...
No, but it also doesn't count at all. If you're going above a certain speed, it won't count your steppage.
Usain Bolt can't play Pokemon Go.
Yeah. It's pedometer... Pedometer mechanics have been established for a very long time. Dragonite would be dragon fighting. That's cool. I like that.
That'd be new.
There's also people floated the idea of fighting Alakazam, which I'm not into. I think
that's
there
kind
can
of
only
the
be so many
reverse.
fighting types.
Yeah.
That's all the Pokemon stuff I saw.
There was also the fire dragon turtle exploding.
Oh, that thing.
Oh,
yeah.
Turtonator! That thing looks weird. Also, they've probably revealed, like 50, 60 Pokemon by now?
Yeah. Speaking of fire turtles, I need to go get that fire turtle from GameStop.
The Volcanion?
Yeah.
That thing barely counts as a legendary Pokemon.
But I want to use him, but I might save it for Sun and Moon.
Oh.
If there's not another fire water type in there.
Stick him in the bank.
Exactly.
Yeah. And then we're on to new releases. We got Style Savvy and Federation Force to talk about very quickly. But before that, even more quickly, Donald, run through the other new releases, please.
There was everything coming out on the eShop this week. There's a Dungeons and Dragons style game that uses the gamepad to be a DM. I wish it was out in Canada because I really want to try it, but it's not available here. Poncho, which I've heard some things about from Rising Star, that's out this week. And A game I picked up because I heard it was supposed to be a spiritual successor to Giant Bomb Game of Forever Windjammers came out. So far, I'm not seeing it, but then again, I'm not all that familiar with Windjammers either.
Hmm.
It's basically a one-on-one sort of frisbee tennis game.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Because I remember that I know that a lot of the appeal for Windjammers is like 4-player multiplayer. I don't think there's a doubles mode in this game, at least not that I've seen thus far. But I'm only about an hour into it.
You say an hour into it. Does that suggest there's some kind of narrative or like substantial single player to this?
There's a bunch of different single player modes, and it has local and online play, and it asked me to activate Street Pass for some reason, but I doubt I'm ever going to pass anybody with this game.
Giant Bomb was actually just talking about Windjammers. You should look up Giant Bomb playing Windjammers because it actually is a super cool looking game. And it's one of these things where you forget how much influence Giant Bomb has, despite sometimes coming across as like one of the B tier outlets, because any conversation you hear about Windjammers originated from Giant Bomb originally playing it a couple years back.
Huh.
And they were just talking about it on the podcast the other day, like how getting a hold of the rights for Windjammers, and there was some talk that like the Mafia owns the company that basically owns Windjammers right now, and like SNK is scared of approaching them to get the rights. And then Giant Bomb was talking about how no one's really capturing the spirit of Windjammers right now for all the Windjammer games that are being developed. And also Jeff made the best point of all, which is like, maybe it's not a good idea to make a new Windjammers, because that probably won't sell that well.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if this ends up being like the closest we get to a new Windjammers, I don't know. We'll look for my review sometime next week, and we'll see how it goes.
Okay. And then that's all the non-important new releases we got to talk about?
Yeah, unless you want to count Pokémon Snap in Europe.
That's cool.
I want that here.
This is supposed to be like the summer of Pokemon on VC, so I think we're probably going to see it sooner rather than later.
Nice.
Okay. That brings us to the big games Federation Force. There's a review on NintendoWorldReport.com right now. There's also Style Savvy. There we go.
Better than both.
And Zach is writing up some diaries of his experience with Style Savvy. There should be one going up just after we're done here.
I just posted it just now.
Excellent.
Right. Now, Donald, you don't have Style Savvy, and you're not getting Federation Force until that game comes in.
Yeah, that game right now. That game has basically gone from Vancouver to Calgary to Winnipeg. I don't know why it's doing this tour of NHL cities, but I would really like it to get past Toronto, Ottawa, Montreal, and get here.
Yeah.
But
okay.
I'm looking forward to it. Style Savvy, I'm thinking, is one of those games I might impulse buy some week because I have extra money.
Yeah.
It'll drop in price someday.
It's the original 3DS Style Savvy sure did. Yeah, I'm no interest in Federation Force because I'm not a Metroid guy really. I liked Zero Mission and Fusion. I liked two of the best ones, I guess.
Yeah, those are two of the best ones.
And Style Savvy, very cautiously keeping. I'm keeping it in my peripheral vision, though I'm not taking it too seriously right now. I probably won't get that either unless it's an impulse buy. So Zach, close us out. Tell us about both these games.
Okay, well, Style Savvy, Fashion Forward. I talked about the demo last week. The full game is basically the demo and nothing more.
Really?
There's like, I guess the added aspect is you have to go and purchase stock for your store, which takes the way that it's set up is you just pick things and buy them, but then you have to, if you want to buy multiple things, you have to go to the checkout first and then press an up or a down arrow, but you can't see how much they cost at the checkout, so you're just kind of saying you don't really know. So I've left the exhibition hall where you buy all your stuff with virtually no money before left over. I don't like that there are not a lot of ways to earn money aside from doing things yourself, which means, you know, choosing outfits for people or doing their hair or doing their makeup. There's some side stuff where you're doing interior decorating and people can rent out your room and they give you some money, but I feel like this game needs a supplemental income stream because otherwise you're just earning money too slowly and then you just spend it all when you go to the exhibition hall to stock up. But the game is still very much I'll do one more thing, I'll satisfy one more customer before bed. The problem is it just becomes very repetitious. You can only, there's only so many ways you can style hair. Only so many outfits you can choose for people. There's amiibo support. If you tap, say, the Best Princess on your 3DS, and she will come to your store and ask to have you pick an outfit for her, and if she likes the outfit, she will give you her shirt, which is Best Princess's shirt color. Same with Samus, same with, they all give you a little thing. Great, but aside from finding all the bonus pieces of clothing from amiibos, there's not a whole lot to that.
I'm a little disappointed with the way you're reacting to this, honestly, Zach. It's the game's fault, not yours. I'm like surprised that this is the way you're ultimately reacting to it. Like, because I thought you were gonna be like, I found this new Nintendo franchise, everyone.
I was much higher on it the first day or two, but by the third day, you've pretty much done everything.
Yeah.
And now it's true that stuff is still unlocking. Like I know for a fact that there's a thing you unlock later or at some point where you get to design clothes, which means to me make 8-bit characters and put them on clothing.
Yeah.
But that has not unlocked yet.
So soft non-recommendation.
I'm not the audience, honestly.
Yeah.
But
maybe it makes for a better kids game.
It probably makes for a better kids game, although there's a ton of reading.
Yeah.
There's a lot of reading. And you kind of have to understand supply-side economics. So
a good lesson in running a business, but maybe not so much as a game.
Yeah. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. It's just not something you should play for hours at a time. How about that? Maybe it's better if you play it for an hour a day.
Yeah. So okay. And then tell me about the game people actually care about. Federation Force.
As you all know, I was dead set against Federation Force pretty much from the get-go. But I got involved in John Reardon's review, which was edited by like 18 people. But he got me really excited for it. And Neil pretty much thumbed up everything he said. So I was like, well, I mean, I've got these, games sitting around that I don't actually play or use. So I traded them into Best Buy today and got Federation Force for free. And I played the first mission, and it's not bad. It's clearly designed for more than one person.
Yeah.
But you can play it solo. You just aren't going to get the time bonus completion stuff. But it plays kind of plays like a Metroid Prime game. I'm going to play it online tonight right after this. We're going to see how that is. But John Reardon, read John's review. I mean, he might be the outlier on the internet, and I think he is right now. But it kind of convinced me to give it a shot.
So far, it seems to be running as good as No Man's Sky, which, if you told me it was getting as good reviews as No Man's Sky even a month ago, I would have laughed at you. But
right.
The thing
that's more No Man's Sky fault than Federation Force.
Yeah, I kind of get the feeling that some of like I'm hoping this is a case of this game is actually really good because Next Level Games hasn't let me down yet, and some places might be going into it with an axe to grind. But the people who are the biggest Metroid fans I know, outside of Dr. Metz, Neil and Jeremy Parrish, both seem to really like this game. Maybe this isn't the Metroid game for people who hate Metroid games.
Right.
Because I'm the one who intentionally didn't submit a ballot for our best Metroid games poll, because if I did, I probably would be fired right now.
Now I will tell you, Donald, that and you probably read John's review. There are some, just even from the first mission, there are shades of Monster Hunter here.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah. Like there's even the first boss fight is a boss fight against a kind of tower thing that has a lot of mouths that open, and when one of them opens, you shoot it, and that's how you damage it. But all around it, all the time, are little bugs popping out of the ground that you have to, keep off of you. So I can easily see that, two guys going after the central hub, and then two people clearing out bugs, and you can probably get through that first level in no time at all if you divvy up the tasks. But like Triforce Heroes, there is no voice chat, and there is a very limited number of preset things to say that you use with the D-pad. And they're useless things like hello or I've got you, I've got your back, whoop-de-doo. How about you go do this? I don't know. Metroid Prime Hunters had voice chat 10 years ago.
Metroid Prime Hunters, I bet that game is aged like dog shit.
Yes.
But I remember it very fondly.
Sure, but I mean, my point was, Nintendo was okay with in-game voice chat 10 years ago. What happened?
Whatever incident happened to cause Swapnote to get completely neutered happened.
Yeah, that's probably true. They realize the internet exists as it is.
Yeah.
Pick up the next issue of Time Magazine. You see what really happened with that.
That sounds like as good a place to end this show as any, yeah?
Yeah.
Zach has some Federation Force to play, so let's get out of here.
Yeah, okay. Patreon.com/NWR is the name of the place where you can donate money. Keep this site afloat. It's we love you if you do. We love you if you don't, but please do. Patreon.com/NWR. You can find Donald on Twitter at DonaldMick, DonaldMick, or NFR Podcast, NFR Podcast on Twitter. You can find Zach Miller at ZMiller1902, ZMILLER1902. I am at CULAFIA Kulafia. That's our show. Have a good night. Bye-bye.